Spanish mackerel. Woo! Beautiful Spanish mackerel here this morning in Gulf Shores, Alabama on the beach. Day 1 of quarantine. We're catching some lunch. Woo! Feisty! Oh, great. We are right here, right off the beach, maybe 50 yards at the most. And the Spanish are schooled up. It's a beautiful sunrise we got here. Well, we caught the Spanish mackerel this morning. We cleaned them up and we're frying them up for dinner. Check it out. Ooh, that's some good stuff right there. Alright guys, we finished the fishing trip, got home, cooked up the fish, and now it's the next day, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I like to use to catch Spanish mackerel. My favorite way to catch them is to find the schools and throw jigs to the fish when I see them busting the surface. Over the years I've tried many different kind of jigs, but I got a couple of my favorites here. This blue water candy thingamajig is about my favorite type. As you can see, it has a big treble hook in the back, and it's a 1 ounce jig, and I'll post a link to these in the description below. They're my favorite. Little 1 ounce. It's a little stick jig like this. Any brand really. These blue water candy ones seem to have a really nice treble hook on them. The Gotcha brand, I really like those, but the treble hooks are trash. I mean, they'll pull and bend even with just catching Spanish. I also love to use these to catch bonitas. Here's some different examples of these. Williamson, Go Name jig in pink or blue, which I really like pink or blue. So besides those stick jigs, I like throwing these glass Minnow flashers. And again, I like them in 1 ounce. If you can find them in 1 ounce in pink or blue or green, any color. And when I'm throwing these jigs, I'm throwing them normally on like a 7'6" spinning rod with 8 to 10 pound mono. And I like mono because it'll stretch. Because these Spanish hit so hard and swim so fast, I like to have the stretch. And in addition to the 8 or 10 pound mono main line on these rods, I use 15 or 20 pound fluorocarbon leader. And sometimes they'll bite it off, you know, but I feel like you get a lot more strikes. And if you're working that jig fast, normally they won't cut you off too much. But I really like 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. This is just what I had on hand. I was using yesterday's 15 pound Seagar. I would probably prefer 20 pound fluorocarbon leader for throwing the jigs. So throwing jigs is a lot of fun, but there's several other ways I like to fish for the Spanish. If you don't see them schooled up but you think they might be in the area, you control little spoons. This here is a spoon I got when I was visiting my buddy in Virginia. By Bowed Up is who makes it. They're on Facebook. I'll post a link to these in the description. But they're really small little jigs. And I got a silver and a pink here. They're just connected to a barrel swivel, and then I use 40 pound fluorocarbon leader to troll these behind the boat, and I just troll them straight on the surface or flat lining. I didn't use these with a planer yesterday, and I seem to have a lot of success with it. A little bit later in the year, when I'm trying to troll a little bit faster out to the snapper grounds or something, I'll use planers. Number 1 or number 2 planer will do, and I typically use those on my TLD 20s here, right? And when I'm using a planer, you can use any size spoon. I use these Eco 3.5s. I've always heard to use pink in the morning, and as the sun comes up, to use a blue. But if I'm being honest, I normally always use a blue. Always seems to catch Spanish and bonitas, kings. And I'll tie a 60 or 80 pound fluorocarbon leader, maybe about 12 foot behind the planer to the spoon. And in the past, these 3 different methods have been really successful in catching Spanish mackerel. And since we can't fish for pompano off the beach right now, fishing for Spanish is pretty fun. As things tend to heat up, we'll see more kings, and bonitas starting to show up, and they're also a lot of fun to catch on the same tackle. So I hope y'all enjoyed these tips, and we'll see you next time.